Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Daily English Podcast. I'm your host, Connor, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Linda. How's it going today, Linda?
Hey, Connor. I'm doing fantastic, thanks. I was just scrolling through my phone before we started recording, and I realized I have way too many apps installed, which is actually perfect because today we're talking about favorite apps.
Oh, that's such a relevant topic. Think about it. We spend so much time on our phones these days, and apps are basically a huge part of our daily lives. Whether it's for work, entertainment, staying connected with friends, or learning new things, there's an app for everything.
Absolutely. And for our listeners who are learning English, apps can be incredible tools. Not only can you use apps specifically designed for language learning, but you can also change the language settings on almost any app to English. It's a great way to immerse yourself in the language every single day.
That's such a smart tip, Linda. I never thought about it that way, but you're right. Even just using your social media apps in English can help you learn new words and phrases naturally. So let's start with the basics. Linda, what's the first app you check when you wake up in the morning?
Honestly, I hate to admit it, but it's probably Instagram. I know. I should probably start my day with something more productive, but I like seeing what my friends are up to and checking out some inspiring photos. What about you, Connor? Are you an early morning scroller too?
I'm actually pretty similar, but for me, it's usually a news app. I like to catch up on what's happening in the world while I'm still in bed. I use this app called Apple News, and it curates articles based on my interests. It's a nice way to stay informed without having to visit multiple websites.
That's a much healthier habit than mine. News apps are really useful, and there are so many good ones out there. You've got Apple News, Google News, BBC News, CNN, and tons of others. For our listeners, reading news in English through these apps is excellent practice because the articles are usually well written and cover current events.
Definitely. And you can usually adjust the topics you're interested in. So if you love sports, technology, entertainment, or politics, you can customize your feed. Now, let's talk about social media apps since you mentioned Instagram. Social media is probably where most people spend the majority of their phone time.
Oh, for sure. Instagram is huge, and it's not just for sharing photos anymore. You've got stories, reels, direct messaging, shopping features, and so much more. I follow a lot of food bloggers and travel accounts, so my feed is always full of delicious meals and beautiful destinations.
Instagram is definitely popular. I use it mainly to keep up with friends and family. But I have to say, my most used social media app is probably Twitter, or X, as it's called now. I like how fast-paced it is and how you can follow conversations about pretty much any topic in real time.
Twitter is interesting because it's very text-based, which makes it different from Instagram or TikTok. You really have to be concise with your thoughts because of the character limit. That actually makes it good for language learners because you see short, punchy sentences in English all the time.
That's a great point. And speaking of TikTok, that's become absolutely massive in the last few years. Do you use TikTok, Linda?
I do. I was resistant at first because I thought it was just for dancing videos and teenagers, but it's actually so much more than that. There are cooking tutorials, comedy sketches, educational content, life hacks, and pretty much everything you can imagine. The algorithm is really good at showing you content you'll like.
The algorithm is almost too good sometimes. You can lose hours just scrolling through videos. But you're right, there's a lot of educational content on there. I've learned random facts about history, science, and even picked up some cooking tips. And for English learners, there are tons of teachers on TikTok who post quick lessons and vocabulary tips.
Exactly. And the videos are short, usually under a minute or 3 minutes, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. You can watch a quick video, learn something new, and move on with your day. Now, what about Facebook? Do you still use it, Connor?
I do, but not as much as I used to. I mainly use Facebook to stay connected with family members and to keep track of events happening in my area. My parents are very active on Facebook, so it's a good way to see what they're up to. How about you?
Similar situation here. I check it maybe once or twice a week, usually to see family updates or check out local community groups. Facebook groups can actually be really useful for finding recommendations, buying and selling things, or connecting with people who share your hobbies.
That's true. And Facebook Marketplace has become really popular for buying and selling used items locally. I've sold old furniture and bought concert tickets through there. It's convenient because you can see the seller's profile and reviews from other people.
Good point. Now, let's move away from social media and talk about messaging apps. WhatsApp is probably the most popular messaging app globally, right?
It definitely is in many countries. WhatsApp is great because you can send text messages, voice messages, photos, videos, and even make voice and video calls all for free as long as you have internet. I use it to stay in touch with friends who live in other countries because international texting can be expensive.
Same here. I love the voice message feature on WhatsApp. Sometimes it's just easier to record a quick voice message than to type everything out, especially if you're explaining something complicated or telling a story, and the video call quality is usually pretty good too.
Absolutely. And there are other messaging apps too, like Telegram, Signal, and iMessage if you're using an iPhone. Each one has its own features and benefits. Telegram, for example, has these channels where you can follow content creators and get updates, kind of like a social media feed.
Right. And Signal is known for being very secure and private, so people who are concerned about privacy often prefer it. Now, let's talk about productivity apps, because I think a lot of our listeners would be interested in apps that help them stay organized and get things done.
Oh, productivity apps are a game changer. I'm a big fan of to-do list apps. I use one called Todoist, where I can create tasks, set deadlines, organize things by project, and check items off as I complete them. There's something so satisfying about checking off a completed task.
I know exactly what you mean. I use a similar app called Microsoft To Do. It syncs across all my devices so I can add a task on my phone and then see it on my computer later. It really helps me stay on top of everything I need to do, both for work and personal life.
Those apps are lifesavers. Another category of productivity apps is note-taking apps. I use Apple Notes because it's simple and built into my iPhone, but there are lots of great options like Evernote, Notion, and Google Keep. You can jot down ideas, make lists, save articles, and organize everything however you want.
Notion is really popular right now, especially among students and people who like to customize their workspace. You can create databases, templates, calendars, and all kinds of organizational systems. It's almost like having your own personal wiki.
That's a good way to describe it. Now, what about calendar apps? I rely heavily on Google Calendar to keep track of my appointments, meetings, and events. I set reminders so I never forget anything important.
Google Calendar is excellent. I use it too, and I love that I can share calendars with family members or coworkers. That way, everyone can see when I'm available or busy. It makes scheduling meetings and coordinating plans so much easier.
Definitely. And speaking of coordination, there are apps specifically for splitting bills and expenses with friends. Have you used any of those, Linda?
Oh, yes, I use Splitwise all the time. It's perfect for when you go out to dinner with friends or take a trip together. You can enter all the expenses, and the app calculates who owes what to whom. It takes all the awkwardness out of asking friends to pay you back.
That's so useful. I've used Venmo for similar purposes. You can send and request money from friends really easily. A lot of people use it in the United States to split bills, pay their share of rent, or just send money to friends and family.
Venmo is great. And there are similar apps in different countries, like PayPal, Cash App, or Zelle. These payment apps have made it so convenient to handle money without needing cash. Now, let's talk about entertainment apps, because I think that's where a lot of people spend their time.
Oh, absolutely. Let's start with music streaming apps. I'm a huge Spotify user. I listen to music pretty much all day while I'm working, exercising, or just relaxing. Spotify has millions of songs, podcasts, and playlists for every mood and activity.
I love Spotify too. The Discover Weekly playlist is one of my favorite features. Every Monday, it gives you a personalized playlist based on your listening habits, and I always find new artists and songs I end up loving. Do you use Apple Music at all, Connor?
I've tried it, and it's also really good. Apple Music has a huge library and integrates well with other Apple products. Some people prefer it because they feel it has better sound quality or because they like the interface more. Honestly, both Spotify and Apple Music are excellent, so it just comes down to personal preference.
That's fair. And then there's YouTube Music, which is connected to YouTube, so you can find pretty much any song, including covers, live versions, and remixes. Speaking of YouTube, that's probably one of the most popular apps in the world, right?
Oh, for sure. YouTube is massive. People watch everything on there, from music videos and movie trailers to tutorials, vlogs, comedy sketches, and educational content. I watch a lot of cooking videos and tech reviews on YouTube.
Same. I love following cooking channels and learning new recipes. And YouTube is incredible for learning. You can learn almost anything for free, whether it's a new language, a musical instrument, coding, photography, you name it. There are entire courses uploaded by experts.
It's honestly amazing when you think about it. The amount of free knowledge available on YouTube is incredible. And for English learners, watching YouTube videos in English with subtitles is one of the best ways to improve your listening comprehension and pick up natural speech patterns.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about video streaming apps for movies and TV shows. Netflix is probably the most well-known, right?
Yeah, Netflix is huge. They have thousands of movies and TV shows, plus they produce their own original content. I've been watching a lot of their documentaries lately. The quality is usually really high, and there's something for everyone.
Netflix is great, but there are so many streaming services now. You've got Disney Plus, HBO Max, Amazon Prime Video, Hulu, Apple TV Plus, and more. It's almost too many options sometimes. I find myself spending more time deciding what to watch than actually watching.
That's so relatable. It's called decision fatigue. But having options is nice because different services have different content. If you want Marvel movies, you go to Disney Plus. If you want HBO shows like Game of Thrones, you go to HBO Max. And Amazon Prime Video has a mix of everything plus their original shows.
True, and the good thing for language learners is that almost all these streaming services have options for subtitles and different audio languages. You can watch your favorite shows in English with subtitles in your native language, or vice versa.
That's an excellent learning strategy. Now, let's talk about fitness and health apps because I think a lot of people are interested in staying healthy and active.
Oh, yes, fitness apps have become so popular. I use one called MyFitnessPal to track what I eat and monitor my calories and nutrition. It has a huge database of foods, so you can just search for what you ate and it logs it automatically.
That's helpful if you're trying to eat healthier or reach specific fitness goals. I use a workout app called Nike Training Club. It has free workout videos for different fitness levels, from beginner to advanced. You can do strength training, cardio, yoga, and more, all from home.
Nice. I've also tried yoga apps like Down Dog and Yoga for Beginners. They're great because you can customize the length of your session, the difficulty level, and even the type of music you want playing in the background.
And for people who like running or cycling, there are apps like Strava and Nike Run Club that track your distance, pace, and route using GPS. You can set goals, challenge friends, and see your progress over time. It's really motivating.
Definitely. And let's not forget about meditation and mental health apps. Apps like Headspace and Calm have become really popular for guided meditation, sleep stories, and relaxation exercises. Mental health is just as important as physical health.
Absolutely. Those apps can really help with stress, anxiety, and sleep problems. I've used Calm before bed, and the sleep stories really help me wind down and fall asleep. Now, let's talk about travel apps, since a lot of people use their phones to plan trips and navigate new places.
Oh, travel apps are essential. Google Maps is probably the most important one. I honestly don't know how people traveled before smartphones and GPS. You can get directions, see real-time traffic, find nearby restaurants and attractions, and even use Street View to see what a place looks like.
Google Maps is incredible. I use it every single day, even in my own city. And if you're traveling internationally, it works in most countries around the world. You can download offline maps too, so you don't need internet to navigate.
That's such a useful feature. Another travel app I love is Airbnb. Instead of staying in hotels, you can rent apartments, houses, or even unique places like tree houses or boats. It's often cheaper than hotels, and you get to experience living like a local.
Airbnb is great for longer stays especially. For booking flights and hotels, I use apps like Skyscanner, Booking.com, and Expedia. They let you compare prices across different airlines and hotels so you can find the best deal.
Smart. And don't forget about translation apps like Google Translate. If you're traveling to a country where you don't speak the language, this app is a lifesaver. You can type or speak a phrase, and it translates it for you. Some apps even let you point your camera at signs or menus and see the translation in real time.
That camera translation feature is like magic. It's so helpful when you're trying to read a menu in a foreign language. Speaking of learning languages, there are so many great language learning apps now. Duolingo is probably the most famous one.
Duolingo is so popular. It's free, it's fun, and it uses gamification to make learning feel like playing a game. You earn points, unlock levels, and maintain streaks by practicing every day. I've used it to practice Spanish, and it really works if you're consistent.
I've tried Duolingo too. Other popular language learning apps include Babbel, Rosetta Stone, Busuu, and Memrise. Each one has a slightly different approach, but they all help you build vocabulary, practice grammar, and improve your speaking skills.
And for English learners specifically, there are apps focused on pronunciation, like Elsa Speak, or apps for learning vocabulary through flashcards, like Anki. The key is finding an app that matches your learning style and sticking with it.
Absolutely. Consistency is more important than which specific app you choose. Now let's talk about some fun and creative apps. Photography apps are really popular, right, Linda?
Oh, yes. Instagram has built-in filters and editing tools, but there are dedicated photography apps that are even more powerful. Apps like VSCO, Lightroom, and Snapseed let you edit photos professionally right on your phone. You can adjust brightness, contrast, colors, and add all kinds of effects.
Those apps can make your photos look amazing. I'm not great at photography, but even I can make my pictures look decent with those editing tools. And what about apps for creating content, like video editing?
There are so many. TikTok has built-in editing features, but there are also apps like CapCut, InShot, and iMovie for more advanced video editing. You can trim clips, add music, insert text and effects, and create professional-looking videos right on your phone.
It's crazy how powerful smartphones have become. You can basically do everything a computer can do, just on a smaller screen. Now, let's talk about some practical everyday apps. Weather apps are something almost everyone uses, right?
Definitely. I check the weather app every morning to see what I should wear and whether I need an umbrella. The default weather apps on iPhones and Android phones are fine, but there are also specialized apps like Weather Underground or Dark Sky that give you more detailed forecasts.
I like knowing the hourly forecast so I can plan my day around the weather. Another everyday app is a banking app. Most banks now have mobile apps where you can check your balance, transfer money, deposit checks by taking a photo, and pay bills.
Banking apps have made life so much easier. I hardly ever go to a physical bank anymore because I can do almost everything on my phone. And they're usually very secure with passwords, fingerprint recognition, or face recognition.
Security is definitely important. Now, let's talk about shopping apps because online shopping has become huge. Amazon is probably the biggest shopping app in many countries.
Amazon is massive. You can buy pretty much anything on there, from books and electronics to groceries and clothing. And with Prime membership, you get free fast shipping, which makes it even more convenient. I probably order from Amazon at least once a week.
Same here. It's almost too convenient sometimes. Other popular shopping apps include eBay for buying and selling used items, Etsy for handmade and unique products, and specific store apps like Target, Walmart, or Zara, depending on what you're shopping for.
Right. And there are apps specifically for food delivery, like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. You can order food from your favorite restaurants and have it delivered right to your door. It's perfect for those nights when you don't feel like cooking.
Food delivery apps are so popular now. And speaking of Uber, ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft have changed how people get around cities. Instead of calling a taxi, you just open the app, request a ride, and a driver comes to pick you up.
Those apps are incredibly convenient, especially when you're traveling or in an unfamiliar city. You can see the driver's rating, track them on the map as they come to get you, and pay automatically through the app. No need to carry cash or worry about how much to tip.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap up, I want to mention some apps that don't fit into any specific category but are really useful. For example, Password manager apps like LastPass or 1Password help you create and store strong passwords securely.
Those are so important for online security. I used to use the same password for everything, which is really dangerous. Now I use a password manager and it generates random, strong passwords for every account. I only have to remember one master password.
That's much safer. Another useful type of app is a file storage and sharing app like Dropbox, Google Drive, or iCloud. You can store files in the cloud and access them from any device. It's great for backing up photos, documents, and important files.
Absolutely. And these apps usually give you some free storage with options to upgrade if you need more space. They're lifesavers if your phone breaks or gets lost because all your files are backed up online.
That's so true. All right, let's do a quick recap of all the types of apps we've discussed today. We covered social media apps like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok, messaging apps like WhatsApp and Telegram, news apps for staying informed, productivity apps for to-do lists, notes, and calendars.
We also talked about entertainment apps like Spotify, YouTube, Netflix, and other streaming services, fitness and health apps for workouts and meditation, travel apps like Google Maps and Airbnb, language learning apps like Duolingo, and shopping apps like Amazon and food delivery services.
That's a lot of apps, and honestly, we could probably talk for hours more because there are just so many useful and interesting apps out there. The main thing is to find apps that make your life easier, more productive, or more enjoyable.
Exactly. And remember, you don't need to download every app that exists. Start with a few that serve your needs and build from there. Too many apps can actually make your phone cluttered and overwhelming.
Great advice. And for our listeners learning English, remember to change the language settings on your apps to English. It's such an easy way to get daily exposure to the language without any extra effort.
That's a fantastic tip to end on. Immersion is one of the best ways to learn a language, and using apps in English is a simple form of immersion that fits naturally into your daily routine.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode about favorite apps. Thank you so much for listening to Daily English Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Yes, please hit that like button and subscribe. We create new episodes every single day covering different topics to help you improve your English conversation skills. Your support really helps us continue making this content for you.
And if you have suggestions for future topics or questions about English, leave a comment below. We love hearing from you and getting your feedback. It helps us know what you want to learn about.
Thanks again for spending this time with us today, everyone. Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep using those apps in English.
Until tomorrow, happy learning and happy app exploring. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.